Lately, I've been asking myself a question that I honestly can't stop thinking about. Not because I have all the answers, but because I think it's one of the questions that follows you throughout your entire life. What kind of man am I becoming? I'm still in my late 20s. I have a lot of life left to live, and I have mistakes that I'll make that I don't even know are coming yet. There are seasons of marriage I haven't experienced yet. There are hardships I haven't carried. That's one of the reasons I love conversations like this, because wisdom isn't simply accumulated through age, it's accumulated through reflection. Some people experience 40 years of growth, others experience the same year 40 times over. So I'm not sharing this because I've arrived. I'm sharing it because these questions have been confronting me, and I have a feeling they don't become less important as we get older. If anything, they become more important, because eventually every man reaches the point where he stops asking, what am I going to do with my life, and starts asking, what has my life done to me? I think those are completely different questions. The first is about achievement. The second is about formation. I think one of the greatest misconceptions about the Christian life is that we become what we know. We don't. Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Notice he didn't say your heart follows your knowledge. It follows your treasure. Whatever continually captures our attention slowly shapes our affection. And whatever shapes our affection eventually shapes our character. That's why two men can attend the same church for 30 years, hear the same sermons, read the same Bible, and become completely different people. Because information rarely changes people, affection does. And the deepest question isn't, what do I believe? The deeper question is, what has my heart quietly learned to love? Because eventually our lives orbit around whatever we love most. I don't think men chase success because they love success. I think they chase success because they long for significance. There's an important difference. Work isn't dangerous because we work too much. Work becomes dangerous when we quietly begin asking it to answer questions only God can answer. Am I enough? Did my life matter? Careers make terrible gods because they always ask for another sacrifice, another weekend, another late night, another missed dinner, another season. Success has an appetite. It never finally says you've done enough. Only grace says that. Maybe that's why so many men struggle when retirement comes. Not because they miss work, because they miss knowing who they are with work, which makes me wonder, if the thing you've built your identity around disappeared tomorrow, who would still be left? This has probably challenged me more than anything else. I think one of the greatest gifts God gives a man is marriage. Not because it makes life easier, but because it refuses to let him hide. Everyone else gets a carefully edited version of us. Our coworkers see us at our best. Our friends usually see us for a few hours. People at church often see the versions of us we've intentionally prepared. Our wives don't. They see the impatient version, the discouraged version, the tired version, the distracted version, the fearful version, the version no one applauds. And here's the question I've been wrestling with. Is my wife experiencing the very best of me, or simply what's left of me? Because it's entirely possible to spend your entire life giving your energy, your creativity, your patience, and your emotional presence to your career, while giving your wife whatever happens to remain at the end of the day. Sometimes the greatest form of neglect isn't cruelty, it's familiarity. It's slowly replacing curiosity with assumptions. You stop asking questions because you think you already know the answer. You stop pursuing because you assume she's staying. You stop listening because life becomes efficient. But love was never meant to become efficient. Think about that. In the Gospels, Jesus never hurried people. Love is attentive. Love notices. Love remains curious. I wonder how many marriages slowly become roommates, not because there was some catastrophic event, but because two people gradually stopped paying attention. Not intentionally, but slowly. Maybe one of the most spiritual questions a husband can ask isn't, am I providing? It's, does my wife genuinely feel known by me? Those are very different questions. One is about responsibility, the other is about relationship. When I was younger, I thought legacy meant leaving something behind. Now I think legacy is leaving something within. Money can be inherited, character can't. Businesses can be sold. Wisdom has to be shared. The older men who've impacted me most weren't necessarily the most accomplished. They were the most present. They listened. They asked thoughtful questions. They admitted when they'd failed. They made me feel like becoming a godly man was actually actually possible. That's influence, not impressing people, forming people. I don't think the deepest question at the end of life will be, how successful was I? Or how much did I accomplish? I think it'll be something much quieter. Who did I become while I was accomplishing everything else? Because everything external eventually fades. The career, the possessions, the title, even the memories. But the soul you've allowed Christ to shape, that lasts forever. Maybe that's why Jesus spent so much time talking about the condition of the heart. Because behavior is often just fruit, the heart is the root. And God has always been more interested in the roots than appearances. So maybe the invitation of the Christian life isn't simply to become more disciplined or more successful or even more knowledgeable. Maybe it's something much deeper. To become the kind of person whose heart has been so transformed by Christ that faithfulness becomes natural rather than forced. I'm still learning what that looks like. I imagine I will be for the rest of my life, but I think it's a question worth carrying. What kind of man am I becoming? Not tomorrow, not someday, but today.